Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video. Edward Jude here. So today is currently the 7th of May 2025 and it is currently 12:19 a.m. So it's basically midnight. But I just wanted to pick up this camera and record because I recently made a discovery, a change in the way I live day to day, and it's had a pretty, let's just say, substantial impact on my quality of life and the way I've been performing with work and other aspects of my life. And I just wanted to pick up the camera and share this with you because I feel like this could have a similar or potentially even greater impact, positive impact on your life than it has on mine. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So you might be wondering, what did I do and what did I discover? So before I get into exactly what I did and how it turned out for me, I'm going to go and give you some context. So fast forward a couple days back. So, in my previous video, I told you guys that for the past couple months, if I'm not going to lie, I've spent more time thinking about becoming rich than actually becoming rich. So I've kind of encountered these kind of blocks, these kind of 2 to 3 weeks and then like a week off and then 3 weeks on where I'm just completely zoned out. And what I mean by this is, so I'm currently doing e-commerce, and with e-commerce I'm currently taking the organic route because of my limited budget. So what happens is, because I'm handling content, I'm handling videos, and I'm always on my MacBook, I'm always on my iPad, I'm always on my two phones, it's extremely easy to get distracted. What I mean by this is, for example, let's say I'm planning some videos out. I'm planning to split test one of the products I have, and I'm basically on this Google Docs and I'm trying to write down all the different video ideas. And as I'm writing them down, I have my phone beside me because I need my phone. And at times I want to check, if I have 3 videos, I want to see which one performed the best. So I go to my phone, I open TikTok, I check how many views that video has gotten, but I never actually get to that point. A task that would have usually taken me 5 to 10 seconds would end up leading to me scrolling endlessly, doom scrolling on TikTok for 30 minutes on the low end and 2 to 3 hours on the high end. Sometimes it's so bad that I literally don't work for the entire day because I scroll, it's like 2 to 3 hours, and after that it's dinner time. I eat dinner, I watch a YouTube video, and then after that I don't have any motivation to continue working. And that happens basically every single day. Especially when I was clipping and I had to post 45 videos a day on TikTok. That means I literally had to enter the TikTok app and the Instagram app and the YouTube app 45 times each day. So you can just kind of tell how this whole thing can have an impact on how productive you are and how you're feeling. And I've said this in multiple videos in the past where I said that I'm feeling a bit mentally fogged. I don't feel like I'm thinking sharply. I don't feel like I'm able to focus. I don't even feel like I'm able to sit in silence for more than 5 minutes without feeling like I'm going mentally insane. So on the 5th of May, I was thinking about that. I was journaling, and I came across this whole idea of dopamine detox. And I didn't come across it, obviously. It just kind of it's an idea that kind of reemerged in my brain. The dopamine detox and this whole monk mode thing has become kind of cringe in a way. It's almost become cliché because everyone's saying it. Everyone's on a dopamine detox nowadays. But, because everyone's doing it, people have kind of started to neglect its impact and its power. And I feel like it does have a lot of power. If you're like me, you're feeling mentally fogged. So if you're someone who's feeling mentally fogged, if you're unable to focus, if you feel like you're lightheaded or dizzy at times, you always feel tired, you don't feel motivated whatsoever, you feel like you just want to sleep, you feel like you just want to lie down on your bed and scroll on TikTok, every time you do anything that has any sort of benefit for your life, whether it be reading a book, planning some videos, if you're doing SMMA, maybe cold outreach to clients, whatever it may be, anything that's not this quick hit of dopamine, like scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram Reels, clicking on a YouTube video, anything that's not just going to give you this instant burst of gratification just seems so difficult to do, then you should probably try this out. So this is an unsustainable approach I took, but on the 6th of May, so this is yesterday, what I basically did was I cut out all social media. So the moment I woke up, I did not scroll once on TikTok. I did not scroll once on Instagram Reels. I basically put my phone just as far away as I could possibly put it, and I just worked. That's literally all I did. I picked up my laptop, and whenever I had to go into TikTok or Instagram, I would use the browser function. So I would go to Safari, I would go click www.tiktok.com, and there it will basically be this fresh For You page. I'm not in the account. I'm not in any account. I'm not signed in. So that means that the For You page is completely fresh. So when you sign in, the For You page is basically optimized. These apps literally optimize and spend tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars trying to make the For You page perfect so that you never stop scrolling. So if you have 10 videos and you like cars, 3 of them happen to be car videos, you like, favorite, and watch all the way till the end for all 3 videos, your entire For You page becomes about cars, because TikTok knows you like cars, and the more cars they show you, the longer you'll stay on their platform. It's good for them, it's bad for you. So I'm gonna open the aircon real quick because it's kind of damn hot here. But going back to my point, I basically went on this like signed out TikTok account, and I think the camera is about to fall. Yeah, so I went into this unsigned out TikTok account, and basically my For You page was just so boring to me. It was this random like building shit, camping shit, trees, goats, dogs, water, Spanish people. So I wasn't hooked at all, and I would subconsciously force myself to just not scroll. So that's what I did when I had to check TikTok. And now this is the basics of dopamine detox. Just not using any social media platforms, not scrolling on Instagram unless it's absolutely necessary. These are the rules I set. Do not scroll on Instagram unless it's absolutely necessary. For example, checking in on a business account or talking to an important friend. The second is to not scroll on TikTok at all. Do not open TikTok at all costs except when it's absolutely necessary. And if you do need to log in, do not log into an account where you are signed in with your main. That basically has this optimized For You page to keep you hooked. And the third rule is no YouTube videos. YouTube videos, you can watch them, but always stick to educational content. If you're trying to learn something, if there's a problem you're facing with your Shopify store, if you're trying to find an app where you can make a presentation, if you're trying to launch a clipping agency on WAP and you want some instructions, if it's something educational and you genuinely need it right now, then go to YouTube. But don't go to YouTube and search up Iman Gadzi Unscripted, watch some vlogs, and then go to Andrew Tate's newest Pagani Huara in Dubai review. That stuff, it's going to keep you hooked. And at first, this might feel like torture. Oh, and another rule is no music. You might be like, music? What the hell does music have to do? Music is a terrible thing. Trust me when I say it's a terrible thing. In music, I don't mean all types of music, not like lo-fi beats, instrumentals, just kind of like classical music. These are fine. What I mean is these high dopamine, fast-paced, kind of extremely, just generally fast-paced, high dopamine, instant gratification music. For example, pop, even music like emotionally invoking music, like sad music, like Lana Del Rey, Billie Eilish, like anything that's gonna kind of distract your mind, your emotions, your brain, that's all bad for you. I'm not saying it's bad for you, but if you're trying to focus and you have something you want to achieve, if you have goals you're trying to hit, whether it be business, self-improvement with your physique, this is probably the best thing you should do in the current moment. And the last one is funk music, edit audios. Trust me when I say nothing gets people hooked nowadays more than funk audios. TikTok audios, these insane like bala, come, like cut that shit out, guys. And you might be like, music is nothing, I can cut music out. No, social media doesn't mean anything to me. For most people, cutting out social media is what they think is the hardest part. But trust me when I say, for me personally, and I feel like most people out there who listen to music the same way I do, cutting out music will be the most difficult thing because it leaves your brain in silence. For someone like me, I have my AirPods in basically 24/7. When I'm sleeping, I have them in. I take them out seconds before I go to bed. I wake up, my AirPods are in. I work, my AirPods are in. I shower, my AirPods are out. I listen to music on speakers. When I go out, I have AirPods in. Even having one AirPod in one ear and having the other side blank is pretty much torture to me on a regular day. And I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but I never really knew it was this bad until I stopped doing it. I was like, oh, this is easy. I'm going to cut out music, until I actually tried cutting out music. And trust me, it's not easy. So if you're trying to convince yourself that you can live without social media, that you're not hooked, you're not addicted, if you can convince yourself that you're not addicted to music, to your favorite artist, then try spending one day without music. Try spending one day without YouTube, without Instagram, without TikTok, without Twitter, Reddit. Try to spend one day with nothing but pure work and your thoughts, and you will suffer. Most of you out there will suffer. Most of you out there will probably not even watch this video till the very end. Even if I was 6'5", handsome, chiseled, just perfect in every way, this video was just, the background was amazing, the audio was perfect. If I didn't have cuts every 3.5 seconds, if I didn't have these LED lights bouncing around everywhere with these kind of illustrations and animations, you would probably click off. If you can watch up to this point even, which is basically just over 12 minutes, trust me, your attention span is better than 99.9% of people, and I know from experience myself. So yeah, I cut these things out, and it was torture. It was basically like going to someone who's addicted to alcohol and taking away their entire fridge. It was like going to someone who's addicted to cigarettes and saying you can never smoke again. It's like going to someone who's addicted to heroin, addicted to coke, and literally taking away all their kind of rolls and stacks. It's a similar thing. You know, social media is an addiction, and music is an addiction. And the reason they're addictions is because the psychology behind it is, you know, with music, with social media, everything is designed to kind of give you quick hits of dopamine. Leave music aside. Let's first go over TikTok and Instagram. Like I told you earlier, these platforms literally spend tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly even a year, just making sure their systems are optimized to optimize your For You page and the things that pop up on your screen so that you stay hooked on their platform. And what happens is, there's basically something called a baseline dopamine, which is basically like your baseline level. If you're not doing anything, if you basically average out your entire day, this is your baseline dopamine. And when you're scrolling the entire day, you're only seeing these fast-paced edits of cars, you're seeing these prank videos, these edit audios, these movie clip edits, you're seeing all these different high dopamine, fast-paced 10 to 50 second videos. What's happening is you're raising your dopamine baseline. So if you average out the entire day, your dopamine baseline is, let's just say, 200 rather than the average of 100. So when you have to do something like work, for example, you're planning a video, for example, you're talking to a client, you're preparing for a meeting, you're trying to set up your store, you're optimizing your landing page. These things, even though they aren't boring generally, compared to your dopamine baseline, they may not be at 0. They may be at like 60, 70, even 100 or 120 in terms of their dopamine level. I'm just saying this as a way of kind of expressing quantities. But when your dopamine level is so high, your baseline dopamine is so high, and your body is so hooked and used to these abnormally and kind of unnatural levels of dopamine that platforms like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts gives you, what happens is when you have to do anything productive, and most things that are productive in life, most things that actually move the needle aren't as kind of stimulating as TikTok, as Instagram, as YouTube, it becomes almost undoable. You become so bored. Your brain is literally frying itself. You can't take that pain because your brain is just asking you, this is boring. You're used to, he's basically telling you, your brain is telling you, hey, I'm used to 200 levels of dopamine, and why are you only giving me 100? When's the next hit? Where's the other 100 levels of dopamine? And it's basically kind of pulling you away so that you can't focus. Especially if you're like me and your work kind of requires you to have your phone by your side, or even worse, literally be on your phone as you work. It's terrible, guys. You will literally be jumping all over the place. You can say, no, that's not me, I'm productive. When I work for 17 hours a day, fully focused. But don't lie to yourself, guys. I lie to myself sometimes too, but we all can admit we've even though it's in varying levels of intensity, we've all had times in our lives where we just are unable to focus and we just end up scrolling and just wasting our time on these useless platforms that give you these fake levels of kind of achievement. They make you feel like you achieved something. Dopamine is from what I understand, the natural hormone that kind of, it's like your natural reward system. Dopamine is something that's released when you kind of achieve something. And when you watch TikTok, when you watch Instagram, you feel like you achieved something. And for me personally, it was edits. So my For You page was full with hypercars, with supercars. It was filled with lifestyle edits and like Iman Ghatzi quotes and all these motivational things. And for a lot of you out there watching this video, especially because my audience is primarily around that self-improvement business kind of niche, I can tell that a lot of you out there will probably have motivational kind of lifestyle based TikTok pages. And what happens is when you have these kind of pages, at least for me personally and what I've heard from other people out there online, your brain kind of rewards you for something that someone else has achieved. When you see a hypercar edit, you convince yourself, you just laugh with these insane funk music, you close your eyes, you replay the video like 4 times, you're imagining yourself in 2.5 months driving a Bugatti Chiron in Dubai with the boys, eating chicken tikka masala on the rooftop of your Palm Island villa, and you feel like you achieved something. You didn't do shit. You are so far from Dubai. You are so far from affording a Bugatti Chiron. And your body, your brain is tricked into releasing dopamine because it's convinced that you've achieved these things. When you see these lifestyle edits, these quotes, you automatically assume because of your ego, because of your pride, that you've already achieved these things, or at least you're well on track to achieve these things. And for me personally, when I see these cars, I'm like, oh, one day I'm going to drive this car. Aha, that's my car. I got it. You know, when I see these lifestyle things, I can imagine myself in that person's shoe, wearing that exact same jacket, you know, going down that exact same private jet staircase. Like your brain is tricked into believing that your future is set. Like your brain is tricked into thinking that this is a fixed variable, like you already achieved something even though it hasn't materialized yet, if you know what I mean. And that's terrible. That's terrible. And once you actually just have enough self-control, have enough discipline, have enough kind of ability to control your own mind, to control your own urges, and to just remove all stimulus for not even a day, maybe even half a day, just a couple hours. If you're watching this video and it isn't night, even if it is nighttime and you're not sleeping yet, put away your phone. After this video, stop watching anything. Put your phone away, put TikTok away, put everything away, and you will find that it is torture. And that's basically your brain healing. It's your brain resetting itself. It's your brain that's kind of masking this lack of stimulus, this lack of instant gratification, this lack of dopamine as pain, because it's not used to it. It's so used to this high baseline of dopamine, like I said earlier, that whenever you drop even a little bit, your brain just can't take it, and it always tries to pull you back into this baseline, and always pulls you back into TikTok. And what happens is real life just becomes super duper boring. It becomes so bland and kind of plain. Like, what do you mean I have to sit here and just type shit? What do you mean I have to sit on a couch and with no music, no nothing, and read a book, like read words? Like, what does that even mean? And that's how I was. To show you the power of this, I came back from my trip to Dubai on the 25th of last month. So it's been almost 2 weeks, and I've had about 60 to 70 pages left in my Atomic Habits book to finish. And at first I was planning I would finish the book on the plane, so on the 5th, 2 weeks ago. Every single day when I woke up in my journal, I would write, I would finish the book today, I would finish the book today. And for 2 weeks, every single day, I was unable to do it because it felt so boring. It felt so boring. Why would I spend an hour plus of my time reading a boring ass book teaching me how to fix my habits and just kind of when I could literally sit here, lie on my bed with music from my iPad in one ear and then music from my iPhone in one ear, and then on my MacBook I'll be scrolling on TikTok and I'll be opening a Andrew Tate YouTube video on the side. Why would I do that? Why would your brain choose the more torturous, delayed gratification, kind of boring, low dopamine route? That's because your brain is wired for instant gratification. It wants to do something now that's going to give it pleasure immediately because it feels good, because it's greedy. And it takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of kind of self-control and persistence and strength to be able to have this subconscious that's kind of telling you, I know you have these urges, I know you want this quick hit of dopamine, but you have to be strong enough, you have to be mature enough and composed enough to know that this isn't good for you in the long term. If you really have visions and you really want to achieve things in life, you have to know that there are certain times where you have to sacrifice these kind of natural hormonal urges and settle for the more boring stuff. Settle for what you may feel is torture, you may feel is suffering, so that you can enjoy the future. You can feel more fulfilled in the future. Yeah, so basically, try cutting out TikTok, try cutting out Instagram, and that worked for me. And on the 6th, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday when I did the dopamine detox, what happened was I was suddenly able to read the entire book. I remember, and I'll be completely transparent with you guys. It was about 2 p.m. I just finished lunch. I was on my desk. I was working, and I just finished writing this whole ass thing. And I had nothing to do because I had videos to film that were only like filmable at night, and I was about to go to the gym, but that was like an hour away. So I basically had an hour where I couldn't pick up my phone, where I couldn't scroll on YouTube, where I couldn't go through Instagram Reels, and I was just stuck there with my thoughts, and my nerves were literally physically reaching for my phone, but I just couldn't. I had enough self-control, fortunately, in that moment to be able to control myself. But I remember I just started sobbing. I don't know why. I just, I'm not trying to look like this kind of weak little immature person, but I'm not sobbing like, oh, like the tears started coming out of my eyes. I just kind of had this anxiety, this stress. It was like, when you whip someone, or when you punish someone, you beat them with a stick. They cry not because they're sad, but because they're in pain. And I was crying not because I was physically in pain, but I was mentally in a lot of pain, pulling back from this dopamine. Every single day, I had screen times of 10, 15, some days 21 hours because I stayed up late at night. 21 hours screen time, guys. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. But because my brain wasn't used to this, going from this incredibly high level of baseline dopamine and dropping down to nothing, no phone, no obligations, just waiting for an hour, isolated with my thoughts and who I was as a person. That is the most traumatizing experience ever when you first start doing it and when you're just genuinely not used to it. And through that pain, I achieved so much clarity. I achieved so much more purpose and kind of generally purpose and clarity after I did that. What I mean by this is, I kind of saw the bigger picture of things. When you have nothing to do, I found myself taking out, I'm not lying, I literally took out A4 pieces of paper, and I was literally mind mapping my entire future. I was writing down the exact state of my business and where I want to be in certain timelines, how I would get there. I was analyzing all the metrics, doing everything I can. It's incredible when you starve your brain of all the fake bullshit that TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and all these platforms give you. Your only option is to focus on the more boring things. And the more boring things, if you position yourself in the right way, becomes the things that move you closer. When you're bored and you have nothing to do in your house, when you can't scroll on TikTok and you're absolutely just bored out of your mind, you're probably more likely to go to the gym. Think about it, right? If you're in your house and you have all the devices in the world, you have a movie to watch, music to listen to, then quite frankly, you're probably not going to go to the gym because it's more painful. It's less stimulating in a good way. It gives you less dopamine because the dopamine comes a month later when you see your increased muscle mass, when you see yourself getting leaner. But when you're doing it, it just hurts. It just sucks. It's literally negative dopamine. So you don't want to do it. But when you're so bored, when you're so starved of stimulus, and when you're so starved of kind of dopamine and any sort of gratification, your mind, it's incredible how you can position your mind if you have enough self-control. Trust me, if you have enough self-control and you're able to kind of, even if it's 10% of you that's able to kind of direct your attention in the right place, it's incredible how much you can do. If you have enough self-control and maturity, and you can be composed enough and have enough clarity to drag yourself out of this dopamine infused, intoxicated, addicted state for just a day, for just one day, maybe even half a day, 6 hours, maybe just a couple hours, depending on what state you're at and how strong you are mentally as a person. If you're able to do that and you're able to move your dopamine baseline to basically zero or maybe just very minimal levels of dopamine, it's incredible how your brain will literally go from resenting working, from resenting going to the gym, from resenting things that actually move you closer to your goals, like reading, journaling, writing, whatever it may be in your specific business model. It's incredible. You can literally go from resenting these things to craving these things. My mind went through this kind of phase where first I was not crying, I was kind of like tearing up out of loneliness, out of realization, out of boredom, pain. Like I was kind of facing this mental and emotional crisis because I'd never been so kind of isolated with my own emotions and myself as a person. And when I actually went through that kind of phase, it really threw me off. I'd never felt like, in some prisons there's this torture kind of method that's basically called, I think, white room therapy. They put prisoners in a fully white room with fully white equipment. Their food is, I think, completely white. Their toothpaste is white. Their clothes are white. Their gloves are white. The bed is white. The bed sheets, the pillows, the camera is white. Door is white. Everything is white. And it's actually a form of real torture, and it drives people nuts. Just a couple days. Some people last a couple hours, 6, 7, 10 days. People go completely crazy. And that's what happens when you starve your brain to stimulus. If you take a person, look, I'll kind of give an extreme example, but to just illustrate my point better. If I took you and I dressed you up in a fully white costume, I put you in a fully empty, small white room with a white bed with no colors, no music, no sounds. It's the quietest place on earth, and I starve you of every single inch and ounce of kind of stimulus you have, and I do this for a day, maybe even 3 days. For some people, 6 hours is enough. For some people, an hour or two, maybe even 30 minutes is enough, depending on how hooked you are and how detached you are from reality. For me, I'm pretty sure it would take me about 3 to 4 days. For some people, it may take 7 days or longer. It depends. But I would say I could last for maybe 2 or 3 days, realistically, without just going crazy. If you hated working before, and I did that to you, and then let's just say a day after, I just threw a random notebook and a pen inside. And the pen's ink was black, and the notebook was with a brown cover with white paper, let's just say. And I said, journal or plan a business idea. Do you think you would be bored like you are now? Do you think you would tell me, I don't feel like doing it, I'm sleepy? Do you think so? No, you would jump off your bed, you would do a backflip and possibly even land on your neck, but you wouldn't care. You would get up, you would pick up the journal, you would probably write nonstop. Your wrist and your hand would be cramping up, your forearms and your entire arm would be cramping up, but you wouldn't stop because it's so stimulating. And that's not because the journaling process itself is stimulating, but compared to your dopamine baseline, there's just such a marginal and positive difference where it becomes stimulating. So that's kind of the interesting point that I'm trying to make here. If you have enough strength, if you have enough mental capacity, if you're strong enough to do things like this, I highly recommend going into a dopamine detox. And now yesterday I was able to carry out the whole dopamine detox until like midnight. After midnight, I ended up watching some YouTube, listening to some music because it was torture, honestly. And I finished everything, so I kind of deserved it in a way. I kind of earned my dopamine, so it wasn't really instant gratification. But now I'm taking a bit more of a unique approach. So on my phone, I deleted TikTok. TikTok is no longer there. I set a 30-minute a day time limit on Instagram so I can talk to my friends, catch up on things. And I basically don't watch YouTube unless it's informational anymore. I don't watch it for fun. I try my best not to listen to music whenever I'm working, whenever I'm doing nothing. If I have nothing to do, I'm not listening to music. If I have to work, I am not listening to music. If I'm going to the gym, then yes, I will listen to music, but I will try not to listen to highly emotionally invoking or funk or like high-paced music. Maybe something like Lo-fi or something like Overcome by Scott, something that's chill, instrumental, something I like. Maybe some chill R&B. Nothing that's going to just drive my dopamine levels back up. And at night, once you finished all your work, once I finished all my work, then I listen to then I listen to music. Then I and then I watch YouTube videos, but I don't scroll on TikTok because I know once I start, I'm not going to stop. So yeah, if you're strong enough, if you have enough clarity and purpose in your life and you want it bad enough, I strongly recommend, no matter how cliche or overdone you feel this concept is, do not neglect the power of a dopamine detox, because it's not just a term, it's an actual psychological, physical, biological procedure. It literally has a physical impact on your brain and your mental clarity, and it's proven to work. And if you think it doesn't work, then do it for one day. Prove me wrong, and then write in the comments that you were able to do it. If you weren't, then you can go ahead and thank me, because I've basically solved all your life problems. Even now, if you compare the way I'm speaking to my previous videos, I just have so much more mental clarity, so much more focus. I'm able to be more confident with my words because I'm doing this, right? Because when you're so focused on all these distractions, that's another benefit. It's actually being less anxious and being more confident in public. And the reason because of this is, when you're so stimulated all the damn time, when you go out in public, when there's just human chatter, noise, and kind of you have to walk places, you have to you can't just run around everywhere and scream. You have to go on an escalator. If there are people, you have to wait and go down. You have to kind of queue at a shop. All these things are the same as the dopamine stuff I said earlier, because it's lower in dopamine. And when you're so stimulated all the time, when your baseline dopamine levels are so high, real life feels awkward. Real life feels kind of quiet and plain and bland and awkward, and you just don't know how to stay. You feel weird. You can't talk because everything is off. Like, you feel like something is off. Everything is awkward. You just laugh out of nowhere. If I were to talk about all the benefits and impacts and disadvantages also of not doing the dopamine detox, so to say, this video would probably never end. So yeah, I'm not a physician, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a doctor, so take everything I said as a grain of salt, but consider it. Consider my perspective, consider my experiences, the things I said, and do your own research if you wish, but just try it out for one day. It's not going to hurt you. It's completely free. You don't have to do anything. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you not to do anything. And trust me, it will change your life. Even if that singular day doesn't change your life, the clarity and the realization you will have in that one day will just alter the course of your whole life. And it's something that I've chosen to implement, and it's a pretty significant change, deleting TikTok and kind of removing music from my life. So yeah, let's see where it takes me. I'll probably make another video in the next month's recap, or in further videos if I see any changes with this. So yeah, anyways, peace out guys, have a great day, and I won't see you tomorrow, and I probably won't see you ever again because you listened to me. Peace.